Welcome to Pearls of Wisdom, your guide to extraordinary weddings and events. I'm your host, Ashley Miner, and we're here to share expert insights and inspiring stories. Let's dive into the art of creating unforgettable moments. Hello.
Good day.
Welcome to Pearls of Wisdom. I do want to thank you guys for being here. These are my good friends.
We are happy to be here.
Scott and Shannon Schaefer, Schaefer Photography. You guys are in for a treat. The listeners are in for a treat because you guys are my really good friends in real life. And so far, when we have been doing these podcasts, like some I'm really good friends with in real life and you can tell, and some I'm like, oh, we see each other at work. So we're probably going to mix in a little bit of the both into this episode. But I think this is going to be a fun one. So thank you guys for coming.
You're so welcome.
I feel like I could probably introduce you, but I don't want to do that because you'll do a much better job of introducing yourselves. So why don't you tell our lovely listeners and watchers who you are? Who's going first? You have to rock, paper, scissors.
She's got it.
Yeah, I'm good. I am Shannon Schaefer. I kind of stumbled into it because of this guy. I mean, I have a finance background and I worked in the finance world my entire professional career. But when I was in college, I interned with a local photographer in Dexter. And I kind of thought at one point I was going to take over his studio for him. Mm-hmm. But then I kind of thought numbers and maybe not the best way to start a career with not knowing if it's going to work. So went into finance. But then when we started dating, we realized we both kind of liked it. And he was already doing it as like a side hobby here and there. And then we had a friend that was like, shoot our wedding. And so that kind of created what is now Schaefer Photography. So,
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Was the official first wedding.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So how long have you guys been together? I mean, I know you've been married.
2012.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yep.
Because, we almost shared the same anniversary date. That was our original date. And then we
May
moved
2nd, if anybody wants to send cards
That's right.
with
2015,
money.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Scott and I ended up getting married New Year's Eve, 2015.
That's a fun day to get married.
So fun. So fun. Okay, Scott, give us your background. Who are you?
I'm Scott. So came here for journalism school. Probably have always had cameras around, but didn't actually get proficient with them until 2001 to 2005 general area. Learned videography, worked in television, then worked for another big company doing marketing and all their videos and photos, and then had always been doing our little side hustle. The same person who asked us to shoot her wedding, I shot their family photos for the first time back in probably 2005, and then another one of our friends at the TV station was wanting headshots. Now she's married to Tony Romo, but at the time, just normal friend.
Yeah.
And
Is that Chase Crawford's?
Candace.
Yeah,
and
so Gossip Girl, Chase Crawford. Yeah, his sister.
So we shot some headshots for her for $50.
Nice.
And so those were some of the first paid gigs.
Yeah.
And then that brought us to, like I said, once we got together, she's like, you want to do weddings? Because didn't want to do them by myself because too much work.
Yeah.
But once we had partnership going with that, then we started doing some of those along with every other aspect of photography and, videography at the time. Now we focus mainly on photography, but still do some video projects here and there. But it's nice that our flow is going with photography. It's hard to slip a video in because then all the systems kind of get out of whack. But
kind of gets backed up.
Yeah.
And shout out to Tony Romo. Tony Romo is my favorite announcer.
Nice.
And when he's covering a Chiefs game, I know we're in for a good game because he doesn't talk smack about the Chiefs the entire time. I love it. But he's starting to. He was last week, and I was like, you watch your mouth,
You watch
Tony.
it. Yep.
So shout out my boy Tony Romo.
There you go.
Okay, so, I mean, you kind of started name dropping a little bit, and weddings are really a pretty small percentage of what you guys really do in the grand scheme of photography. Kind of talk about that a little bit. Like, what does the spread look like of clientele for you guys, if that makes sense?
Everything from corporate to headshots to babies and families and seniors and new edition swimming, underwater photography. weddings is probably the least thing that we do, but it just happened to be the one that's most recognized because it's just kind of what categories have fallen into over the years. It's like wedding photography, but a little bit of everything. And Scott, I mean, his background's news, so anything journalistic that he can go out and be involved in is kind of in that flow of things.
Yeah. Shoot a little music for fun, but that doesn't really pay anything. But it's fun to get those gigs to get up close with talent. And
Yeah. Well, I noticed your shirt. Was that your Dolly Parton shirt?
No.
by the same brand.
Oh,
but
okay.
not the Dolly Parton shirt.
So for everyone who doesn't know, because they're not friends with you guys in real life, like me, you guys got to go to a very exclusive Dolly Parton show.
Yeah.
We did. That was fun.
And your dog's name is Jolene.
Yeah.
Yup.
I mean, you guys seem like pretty big Dolly people.
He is. Me, not so much. I mean, I like her. She's great. She's a legend, but he's a super big fan. Like, he was always, if there is a Dolly Parton show and I can go to it, we're absolutely going. Like, that's one
And
of
we
his,
did
like,
it.
bucket list people.
We've lucked out with those little concert things. I mean, we got to go to a maybe 150 person concert for Jerry Lee Lewis.
And he
one of the
actually got a
founders of-
contract with Jerry Lee Lewis and got to shoot for him. So
What turned out to be his
Pretty
final
cool.
concert.
got to go backstage and meet him and actually shoot some personal portraits of him. So that's kind of cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So, kind of coming back around to weddings, how many do you guys do in a year? Or what's kind of the goal?
It's around 10 to 12, one a month.
Yeah,
is
if we
the
get
goal,
one a
but
month, it's-
sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less.
With 2 kids, it's just any more than that's just too much.
Yeah.
Not really. We would get too burnt out if we were doing more than one a month, I think.
Yeah, because I think what a lot of people don't realize is it's a lot more than just showing up on a day and taking pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's way more laborious than that.
Yep. A lot of
Yeah.
gear prep going in. It's a hard hustle day. Like from the time you get there till the time you're done, you're pretty much running as fast as you can to make sure you get all the checklist items taken care of.
And if you're Scott Schaefer, you're down on the ground in 1 second, and then you're up on a ladder the next second, and then you're like getting the craziest angles, and then you're
Acrobats.
also dancing while you're doing it.
It takes a lot of energy. So
Yeah.
kinda get to bed early the night before, and then try to get it all done.
Yeah.
But then it's like a lot of time narrowing down the photos because, I mean, on a wedding day, you take anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 photos, and then you have to go through and narrow that down to, 500. And that takes, you start getting down to the nitty gritty, like which one is better, which photo out of these 10 that are all somewhat similar is the best. So it just takes a lot of time. So
And then editing.
yeah, and then you have to edit them, of course. So it's just, for us, if we did more than one a month, all of our other stuff would fall behind. So
Yeah. So, I mean, there's 2 of you. So how does that really work? I mean, how do you guys split up your workflow?
Well,
That's probably a good question.
somebody
You guys are like,
reaches
sure,
out.
let's set these boundaries.
we can show it here. Yeah. Somebody reaches out for work, can generally work quick on response, a couple minutes or an hour if we're busy.
Yeah.
You'll hear back from us generally, and so whoever gets it will respond to that. And then once they're booked on the calendar, if it's not one of the bigger shoots, I'll shoot it. Otherwise, we'll both do it if it's something larger.
or like a studio portrait session that needs some styling and posing, or if it's a wedding, or bigger corporate jobs like a Stevens College that requires a lot of lighting, stuff like that. Like, you need 2 people. But then we also have 2 kids, so if I can't go, got to find someone else to come help him set up stuff.
You said you're a friend. You might be on that list to carry heavy stuff
Hey,
sometime.
I'm always down for that.
Once the shoot's done, we bring the photos home, drop them on the computer. We have a little fancy list on a piece of lined white paper.
Nice.
that
That
we
is
keep-
very.
He has like the
Correct.
same
Fancy.
notebook that he's had forever, and
We're
he
on the
just keeps
third
flipping
year.
pages with his list of shoots to edit.
I love it.
Edited in order, and unless you pay extra, then you can
Skip
jump
the line. Skip the line.
So once we get them on the computer, generally I'll take a first pass of narrowing down, and then she'll take a pass, I'll take a pass, she'll take a pass, I'll take a pass.
Yeah.
Once they're down, then put them on the next computer. She'll usually start the edit, and then I'll come by, see if there's anything else that needs to be retouched on them. Then we export them, upload them, deliver them, write the email, do social media, archive, clear the disk, and then do it again.
You know, I think that's really something that's really cool about you guys is that there are two of you who are doing this at a very, very high level. It's not like Shannon's an assistant and she's doing just these 5 tasks. It's you're both doing a lot of the equal amount of work, and having that attention to detail, I think, really comes through in your work. You know, you guys stand out amongst other people because of that, I think. And
thank you.
yeah. Well, you guys are so good at, it's really, and this is how I'll explain it to my clients when they come to me and they're like, we don't have a photographer. I'm like, okay, well, show me some stuff that you like. And then I can say, okay, if you want something artistic and refined and uses lighting and does different things, you will never see, I do not think I've ever seen someone do the same pose twice in your guys' galleries. And that takes a lot of time and effort and studying and, you know, like the history of work that you've had over the last 10 years, you know, kind of has led to where you guys are now, obviously. So I guess what I'm trying to say is your guys' work really stands out amongst your competition because you have done it for so long and you hold yourselves to a really high standard.
We try to get better each shoot we do, and like that's the goal. Even if I'm doing a shoot myself, like anytime we get a new location, like that makes it so much easier because then you're not trying to play off the same thing. But otherwise, when you're also having to be more creative. Like, I don't want to do the same thing I did last time, so what's something we can do different this time?
I mean, posing especially it's like even from day one, like we realized like we need to study some posing because it can be so awkward. And it's already awkward telling someone that's nervous, like, oh, we'll stand like this. So like we did some classes at Shutterfest and then we study online. And before each shoot, we kind of refresh our brains with Instagram and Pinterest and just like that photo looks cool. Let's try and recreate that. Not to the same like copying someone's idea, but like the pose or.
And that's what some of even the great Hollywood photographers out there, like they're looking off of Renoir's paintings or other like, I like this gathering of people or I like the lighting in this. And so you can use that and then bring it into your own work with whatever the shoot is. So
yeah, so we got to do the wedding giveaway together.
Oh yeah,
which was an amazing project. But one of my favorite wedding party photos was from that because you guys chose to use the sofa and gather the wedding party around. Which you said a Renoir painting. You know, it's like you don't see that. You see walking in a field.
We hate the like standard like grab your partner and say cheese and stand in a line. Like those are like my least favorite photos of the whole day. So
and we will take those though.
Yes, we will. You will get those too.
We will not say no.
Anytime that we can like set up a scene that has some props or some chairs and we can get different levels of, you know, your eye length, like you're looking all over the picture at people as opposed to just a straight line. It feels more artistic and more like editorial and that's more our shtick than...
Yeah, a little more upscale, luxurious feeling will stand the test of time versus look at your partner and walk in a line, and which there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But you guys
to each
do it.
their own.
Yeah, you do it a little differently.
We like trying to be slightly fancy.
Yeah.
Without being
even though
too
we are the
fancy.
least fancy people ever.
Okay, knowing you in real life, that's not true.
Come to my house sometime.
Yeah. Okay, our living quarters, maybe not. But we also have small children.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so let's talk about that then. I mean, you guys do have kids, and you have to balance that and growing a business. That's hard.
It is. And when we were working full-time at other companies, there was kind of an easier balance because we had the set hours and our weekends were free. And then the bigger we got, the more we work on weekends and less on weekends or weekdays. And then we went full-time with this, and our first kiddo went to full-time school. And it's like, oh crap, we don't have free weekends anymore because we work and our kids are in school during the week. So when do we spend time with the kids? So we
never see them.
Yeah, basically we don't see our children. They just exist.
They're at boarding school. They're 2 and 6. They're boarding school.
Yes.
Yeah, we see them a lot.
So like we've had to really schedule our calendar almost like a year in advance to be able to spend time with them on the times that we want to. So we are very hard at saying no to people. Like, it's so difficult for us to turn down a shoot if it's something we want to do. But we've had to get better about it because, especially during our busy season, this guy will say yes to every single person that inquires about a fall family shoot. I'm like, you just booked 4 in one day, and we have one every single day this week. When are we supposed to enjoy the fall with the kids? Like,
right.
the nicest weather of the year.
When are we going to do our family photos?
Yeah.
When are we going to go to the pumpkin patch?
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
I totally
It's tricky.
get that. It is.
We did miss our family photos this year.
Yeah, we didn't do family photos this year, so that was a first for us.
Yeah.
But we got some pictures.
And you did some cute ones of the kids at Halloween. And
Oh, yeah. We love that stuff. Like, anytime we can get our kids, like, in lights in the studio setting and do something fun,
yeah.
that's the best.
Yeah. If the listeners and watchers have not seen those photos, they were my favorite. Lillian was Dolly and Teller was Elvis. And my favorite one that I really want to print and have framed at my personal house is Teller crying in his Elvis wig.
That was
and
our
costume.
first try of the photos. He had just woken up from a nap, and we immediately after that, it was like, okay, we're going to have to take a break and come back to this some other time because he's just not in the mood for it.
But Sad Elvis is a pretty
Oh my
good.
gosh. It's my favorite picture. I
I'll
love
sell
it.
you a copy.
We need to get Augie in our studio.
I know.
And do a little fun Halloween shoot. And
It would just
whatever
be
he is,
dinosaur.
just really put him in it.
Yeah, he's already thinking Halloween's his favorite. I don't know why. He's obsessed with everything Halloween. And he's already told me it's February. Well, almost February. And he wants to be a vampire, a dinosaur, a policeman. I think that was it. Those are our 3 choices right
You
now.
can make any of those good.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
Yeah. I'm voting for vampire. I think it would be pretty funny. He acts like he's pulling a cape.
Oh, yep.
Like, okay.
That'd be good.
Sure. Okay, enough about how cute our kids are. So we've talked about you guys don't take that many weddings, but that's because they're so, labor intensive. I happen to know of one thing that you guys are kind of starting to offer for specifically your brides, and that's bringing some of your amazing backdrops for like a true bridal portrait. And I feel like in the wedding industry, kind of gotten away from those because of the time crunch of the day. Just kind of walk us through what that actually looks like and why you guys think that's, an important and beneficial thing to your clients.
So we've done it before in the past, just kind of like trying to introduce it. And then we just realized like traveling with them is just such a pain. But then we had a winter wedding recently, and it was so cold and snowing.
4 degrees.
Oh, gosh.
And we're like, what can we do so that they're not outside? I'm like, let's just bring it up like a plain white backdrop and do some more like editorial portraits so she doesn't have to go outside and run her hair. And honestly, that's our jam. That's our sweet spot is editorial portraits. He's got several of these really awesome backdrops from Oliphant that are what you see like at the Oscars and the Emmys and in Vogue. And so he ordered a few from the woman that makes them. And the more that we can use those, that's kind of what we would like to see in wedding photography. Because if you think about it, when a bride goes to print off her stuff, like maybe she doesn't want to be running through a field and something she's going to hang up in her living room, like something more artsy, fine art, kind of classic is what we're kind of go for the brides to have a selection of.
I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen photos of your grandparents and great grandparents getting married. And like my favorite is, my grandmother had a painting, of her made in her gown, and it's so pretty, but you can tell she's in front of a backdrop. She's not in front of a window or something, making use of the space around you. Again, nothing wrong with that.
No.
But I love this, like, again, more artistic, fine art feel.
And that was the style back then, too, in the early 1900s. Like, they would have some sort of backdrop that was either painted or even, like, Queen Elizabeth's coronation photo. She's up against a painted backdrop of the inside of the Abbey because they weren't going to take her over there to do the photo, but that was one way that they could have it there and then light it and take a photo. So it gives kind of a cool depth, and it feels kind of regal and, fancy. So
Well, that's our favorite part of the wedding is those portraits. So if we could just do the portraits and have someone else shoot the wedding, that'd be ideal. But
Right. Well, and I think you might have done a bridal session for someone that I had referred you guys to because she had contacted me after the styled shoot that we did last year. And she was like, oh my gosh, I love, bridal portraits. That's kind of a more Southern tradition now. And she was like, I grew up in the South and I would love to have my daughter who's doing a destination wedding just do bridal portraits. I remember being a kid when my aunts were getting married and they did just bridal portraits. And, and then they could feature one of those at the wedding. And I just think that's a cool tradition that we should bring back.
Yeah. I would love it if more brides and grooms were like, let's do a session before or after the wedding where there's not time constraints. You're not worried about a million other things going on. And we get them in a studio and we do just some really classic portraits. Like there's no stress and sweat and rushing around. And then on your wedding day, it's like, well, I got the really fancy stuff. I can get just the stuff at the venue. And,
Yeah. That more documentary style, which
I know
is
that's
so
not
popular
always
right
someone's like budget or time constraints and stuff, but ideally that would be our dream scenario. Like, let us do your portraits and
yeah, I love that. Okay, I'm gonna find you a client that wants to do that. I think that's a good idea. So is that when you guys do bring your backdrops to a wedding, is that included in their package or is that something that's additional?
Yep, we usually just do one charge for whatever. So you get us for the day, whatever we can get done.
Yeah.
Nice.
Ours is more about hourly than it is anything else. Like whatever we can pack in to your schedule, that's all included.
So kind of talk about those packages and what those look like.
Generally, it's just you have us all day because it's your wedding. So in order for us to come out there, we have to have childcare and everything else. So it's like, if we're going to do it, like we're all in.
Right.
So you got us all day long. So
typically about 8 hours.
Yeah. If you want us longer, you can pay a little extra. But generally, most weddings will fit into that 8-hour time frame. And then, you're there from getting ready, ceremony, dancing, get all the main events.
Yeah, we're there till like the very last scheduled event is there, and then we stay for like an extra 15 minutes just to get some party dancing. No one needs a million photos of everyone drunk dancing though, so we pretty much cut out after that. And then you get 300 to 500 digital images for download, and you can print through us, which is through Miller's here locally, but we don't require that you print through us. So
nice.
If you want to go to Walgreens and print your wedding photos, more power to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even think I do have some prints from my own wedding, but they were from my photographer.
We've only printed one. It's on our staircase. We haven't printed any of our wedding photos.
I know. Isn't that horrible?
Yeah.
We'll make an album sometime when we get time, but
it's a digital world. It's like
I know
nobody prints anymore, and if they do, they want to print where they want to print. So we just don't stress about that too much.
Yeah.
And that's more time consuming.
Yeah.
Like anytime you have to help with more orders and like a lot more time, and so that is not included in our price.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I get that.
Yep.
What's your favorite part of a wedding day?
His is usually the cake, I think.
I do test the cake once it's out there, make sure it's good.
He will sneak by and get a second round of cake if you don't keep your eye on him.
Oh, yeah,
so,
I feel that.
Yeah.
Burn lots of calories working hard. I mean,
That's
you
right.
described it.
That's
so
right.
you have to stay, there's probably protein in cake.
Yeah, carb load.
So his is like the dancing cake towards the end, I would say. Mine's
Any
more
of
the
the
beginning.
emotional moments, like whenever there's
that's
like
true.
photojournalistic moment, that you're just a fly on the wall capturing. Those are always the favorite.
Yeah.
I like the beginning. I like coming in and seeing the dress for the first time and their details and flat lays and them getting fancy and pretty. Just the girly girl in me is like, this is amazing.
Well, and I know you're an antiquer. You like to find cool vintage stuff, and you have like an entire tackle box or caboodle full of things.
Kit and caboodle.
Yeah. All your fun things for your flat lays.
I do. We have a side hobby of antiquing everywhere we go. Pretty much any town we're in, we're Googling what's the best antique stores, and I like finding little vintage ring boxes and
postcards, trinkets.
Yeah, postcards, just little shiny trinkets, silver trays, old postage stamps. I have these little cards that have birds on them that I really like. Handkerchiefs, old embroidered, pretty floral handkerchiefs. But yeah, anything that we can put in there that is not from someone else's wedding. So I have to kind of like rotate it out after I've used something each wedding. But yeah, I like putting the little things in there.
But there's so many different ways to make things look really cool. I mean, I think, so we did a New Year's Eve wedding together, and that was the most amount of like details and flat lay photos. And I think it's because you brought your entire kit and caboodle. And I mean, but you had like a vintage New Year's Eve card.
I did.
And like little glitter what was it? What was the glitter?
They had just married little
yeah.
little cutouts, like metallic little cutouts that we sprinkled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked forever for that New Year's card. I was like, there has to be a vintage New Year's postcard somewhere. Like, there has to be one. So I try and like, if I have time before the wedding to find stuff like that, it's exciting for me to be able to use it because I searched for it. So
yeah, I love that. That's something again that makes you stand out. You know, that you guys do a little bit differently.
We're big attentioners to detail, if that's the right word. Probably not.
Yeah.
But
I like it.
yeah, attentioner.
Yeah.
he will make up words all day long.
That's great.
They're good words.
You're an attentioner.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about your favorite parts of weddings. What's your least favorite parts of weddings?
Standing on concrete floors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Those
hard.
are hard.
My feet are always
No
just
pun
killing
intended.
me. I'm not a big fan of the family photos, like just the line up and take a million photos of different combinations, but
You got to get them.
you do
I
it.
always tell my brides, because they look miserable during them, and I'm like, this is the worst part of the day, I promise. Let's just get it done,
Yeah.
and then it's done.
Yeah. But I mean, other than that, like there's not really a least favorite part. It's enjoyable. It's just a lot of work.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, the concrete floors, which is what every single venue has, is so hard on your feet.
I know. What would be a better alternative? Like cork?
Pillowed
give.
floors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Down.
But man, it is always hard concrete.
Trampolines.
Yes.
So-
Even wood floors would be softer. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. I know. It's brutal.
Yeah.
Hot weddings, least favorite,
Hot weddings.
where you're sweating and everything's chafing and ugh.
Pretty much like anytime we have to work with the lead planner from Delight Events.
Oh yeah, she's
I
the
hate those
worst.
weddings.
Terrible.
Ashley Minor.
Yeah. Stay away from her if you can.
Yes.
She's the worst. Okay,
No,
this is
they're fun. They're just long.
it is a long day. Very long day.
Liam like that. You agree? Ashley Minor, just horrible.
She's the worst. I know. Okay, so one of the last questions that I want to ask
Already?
you guys.
Has it already been 2 hours?
Yeah. Look at your watch. One of the last questions I want to ask you guys that's kind of been a common thread amongst, the guests that we have had on to this very prestigious podcast.
Thank you for letting us be first, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, sorry about that. So you guys have obviously done many weddings and events with planners, without planners. What do you feel like, are the benefits of one of your clients having a planner versus not?
Less work for us.
Yeah.
Because when there's not a planner, we are kind of the one that is constantly checking the schedule, seeing where the timeline needs to be, where the people are that we need for certain photos, finding the stuff for flat lays, just everything, because we have played a different role at pretty much every wedding we've done where there's not a planner, whether we are a makeshift florist because the florist dropped the flowers off and didn't do anything with them. They just set them in a box and left, or all the candles need to be lit, or the champagne glasses need to be filled still, or...
But that's what you get when you get a professional photographer who's been around for a while. We've done, I think we're close to 100 weddings now.
Yeah.
And, you learn something each time. And before that, I played piano at probably 50 weddings before that. So, we've done our fair share of weddings. And so you're able to help with this or that.
We're happy to. It's just if there's a planner there, it's just less stressful. Like, it's a no-brainer. And we're just there to actually do our job and not do the hustle and bustle of making sure people are getting where they need to be when they need to be there. Because bride's not looking at her watch.
Right.
So they almost need someone that's doing that for them, making sure that the cake got delivered and just low stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is an ideal venue to shoot at? You don't have to say like this place, but like what does it do you guys like a lot
We
of
like the
natural light?
all-inclusive, like when everything happens in one location.
Yes, if there is a bridal suite and a groom suite for everybody to get ready, it is less for us because otherwise we have to drive and take our gear to every location that everyone's at.
Which takes time.
And that's what I think a lot of clients don't understand. And like, it's okay if you want to do a church wedding, but then if groom's getting ready at parents' house, bride's getting ready at her parents' house, and then you have a church, then you have a reception, like that's
The
4
logistics
locations.
of moving.
We had one of those, and we were like 15 minutes between each location.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, they're like, well, we want you guys to separate and go here and there. It's like, we're not going to bring 2 cars. Like, and we shoot
Yeah.
together. We're a team. I hold a light. He shoots. Like, I'm setting up a flat lay. You know, it's a team process. So that's funny. Almost, I'd say 50% of the weddings, like, well, can you guys split up and you go here and you're going to, it's like, absolutely not. Sorry.
And so they know that
So
ahead of time,
it
so the
has to be
schedule
scheduled
will
in.
reflect where
Right.
we're going to be. Cause
Yeah.
that's
So, yeah,
how we roll.
The trend of venues having the suites has been awesome because it's like the second we realize everyone's at one location, it's like, yes, we only have to unload once. It's great.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Shannon gets tired carrying all my equipment around. And we don't know where we're out too early.
The pack mule.
Yeah.
What else do we love about venues?
Um,
Lighting is really important. I will say one of the least things that I like about a venue is when they have very yellow lights or a lot of yellow wood, stuff like that, because it just makes it
does
really
give you
hard
a
to
color
consistently
cast.
light. Because then if he has a flash and I'm shooting natural, all my stuff is going to be very dark and yellowish, and his is going to be very bright and more like that Hollywood flash. So there's not the consistency that you would want. There's going to be a lot of shadows and things that you have to work around. So especially during the ceremony, no one wants flashes everywhere. So like he might work with a flash, but I'm not going to because that's just too much. So
Yeah.
those are hard to shoot. They
Yeah.
really are.
Yeah. But you guys, I mean, obviously, I feel like every photographer would say we love natural light, but you guys use a lot of lighting to help kind
That's
of.
Scotty. He has
create that.
studied. He will be in bed at night, and I will just see the little glow from his cell phone, and I'll hear a video running, and it's usually someone like teaching how they lit a specific shot. And so he'll be like, how many flashes did they have? Where were they? Was there light behind them? Was there one in front of them? Was there one above them? Like studying where the catch lights are in someone's eyes, determining how many lights there were. I know nothing about lighting other than just shining it on something and
Yeah.
making it work. He has mastered it, and I can't count the hours I've seen him studying and trying to learn that.
and I'm still
so,
learning because
yeah.
there's so much about lighting.
Yeah.
And like it's all used the same way. Like it might be called natural light, but all light is the same depending on like what color it is and what direction it's coming from. And all light produces 5 things on like a sphere, which each time you add another light, you'll get another of those 5 things. And so just like learning the science and the technical side of light, and then you're able to see it, whether it's sunlight, whether it's cloudy, diffuse light, or whether it's natural light that's just coming in a window. But you got to balance it all, and then you got to decide how you want to use it in your camera, whether you're going to cut it all out so it's pitch black, and then the only light that's going to appear in the camera is the light that comes out of the flash or the light you're using, or if you're going to mix it like hot and cold water and add to the light that you have there. So those are creative decisions that you got to make in the moment based on what you see, where the person's standing, what
Yeah.
direction the light's coming from.
Well, there's nothing wrong with just using natural light. Like, that's a total separate art form on its own. For us, we just like to have that trick in our bag because if
Skill.
it's dark, if it's raining, like a lot of people would have to cancel like a family shoot if it's, pitch black and it's not light enough. Or,
Right. Well, and even thinking back to our New Year's Eve wedding, it got dark at 5 o'clock, but it was also overcast all day long. And so being able to take those winter weddings for another photographer who depends solely on natural light, she would have been up a creek, whereas you guys were able to, make the most of it.
You make it work, but it is nice to have this guy right here with his little light kit and have
Heck
him
yeah.
set it up for me. Like, one of the things I think we really do is like I'll have a vision in my head of what I want. I tell him what I want. I show him example somewhat of what I want. He lights it. and then I shoot it. And that has been, I think, one of our biggest game changers with weddings and stuff. It's like I research before we go. I know some shoots I have in mind that I want him to set up and light. I could not light them myself. There's no way.
Yeah. Yeah. Me and you. We'd be there like, okay.
Yeah. Cell phone light.
Great.
Here you go.
This looks great. Okay, so my last question to every guest on the podcast has been, if you were not doing this photography, what would you be doing? And you could dream, like, it could be something off the wall. I've said that I have wanted to be a farmer, but only for the animals, and I won't kill them. I really will just take care of them. I've also said I wanted, and you guys are going to relate to this because of Teller, I want to play with children's toys on YouTube because that's very lucrative.
I mean, you can make a lot of money doing that.
I know. Isn't that insane? Okay, so those have been my 2 answers. You can dream big or small.
I like the animal one. I love animals. Like having like a dog ranch.
Oh,
That'd
a
be cool.
dog ranch.
Yeah, like just
Yes.
like all the dogs. Like
Yes.
open the gate and it floods with puppies. Yeah, no.
I just picture, is that Beethoven? Where they're all just running?
Yeah. I mean, we always say we want to own land and like just have.
Peacocks.
Peacocks. Cool. I love it.
But otherwise, I really like art. I like drawing and stuff like that. Like if I had more time to just.
Yeah, I'd
create
probably be
stuff.
a famous musician or pilot.
Cool.
Anyway.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
He used to play for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
In the organ booth,
yes,
not
in the
center
organ
field
booth.
or nothing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You played the organ at Busch Stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. You
Nearly 20 years ago. That was back when I wasn't as old.
Gray.
as good looking.
Yeah.
Silver Fox.
Back, I was still, good looking back then too, I guess.
Yeah, your career history is wild.
Pretty crazy.
I
Just
mean-
do what you want to do.
He never
Yeah.
brings it up, so I bring it up. I'm like,
I
you
know.
should brag on it.
Seriously, how many Emmys do you have?
Several. Yeah.
How many exactly?
15.
15
15 Emmys. That's 15 more than I have.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
You can borrow one if you need one sometime.
Okay.
We should have, it could have been our,
Could have been the prop for the
Yeah.
day.
Darn it.
Can you imagine like dating this guy and him being like, "Hey, you want to be my date to the Emmys?" And I'm like, "The Emmys? Like the Emmys?
The
Emmys?"
actual Emmys.
Yeah, it's not as big and fancy as the Hollywood Emmys, but it's still the Emmys.
Pretty
Got to buy
cool.
gowns for it, and he wore a tux.
I thought about wearing tux today, but I wasn't sure if you were dressing up or not.
You wore like a, what's it called?
Should've.
The all denim. What tuxedo is that? The
Canadian tuxedo.
Yes, you wore a
Technically.
Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah.
So
I really like that shirt.
Thank you.
I have one that
It is
has like
cool.
a big
Skull.
the cow
Cow
skull,
skull.
and it's got green embroidery. Yeah,
Very
love
cool.
some rock mount. That store's really cool.
Downtown Denver.
Forever in
Nice.
A lot of
Denver.
musicians wear these, and
Maybe that should be our vacation that we're planning.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I like that area.
I
good.
love Colorado in the summer, so
We could stay in
I'll
those
go
little
and drive.
cabins. We could go to the.
Yellow Moon cabins. They were
No,
nice.
it's not Yellow Moon. It's something Moon though. Dog Moon.
No, it's Yellow Moon.
I don't know.
a minute.
Anyways.
Yellow dog moons.
Yellow Dog Moon.
I'll go. That
It's a great
sounds
place.
dangerous.
We shot a wedding up there, and we stayed in these little vintage cabins that have like a record player, no TV,
Oh,
nothing.
yeah.
Oh, they're
That-
so cute.
Those pictures were beautiful.
That was fun. That was our old intern Jesse, and shooting off the side of a mountain. I mean, who
What
doesn't want
more?
to do that?
Yeah.
We're,
What more could you
we're
dream
able
of?
to travel
Yes, we travel. You pay
People
for our travel, like
on top of your wedding costs.
yeah.
We'll
go.
be there.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
You get to enjoy our
I'll
fun
be your intern.
personalities. Get to go on vacation with us.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, cool. Well, you guys, thank you so much for being guests today.
You're so welcome.
And thanks for being my friends.
You're welcome.
And here's to many more weddings that we get to do together because I love when
One a
we get
month.
to work with you. Oh, gosh.
Well, we need to get Nanny involved too, though.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Nan, New Eden, that's who's producing this.
Yes, New Eden. Yes.
Okay, we're wrapping up for today. Thank you guys again for being guests, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's Pearls of Wisdom podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Miner with Delight Events. As always, you can find us all over the internet by following us on Instagram at Delight Events Mo and on Facebook. And please consider leaving us a review here for the podcast. Subscribe if you're on YouTube or on Spotify. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.